If I give myself to you completely, but I'm holding back my fertility, I'm not giving myself to you completely. But if we take either the unitive or the procreative out, then sex loses its purpose and can easily turn into taking advantage of each other, using each other. But because it has these two important purposes, to unify and to be open to God's procreative power, God puts it within marriage. It doesn't belong anywhere else. And then the unitive can make sure that the act matches the covenantal reality, that two people have been bound together for life. And the procreative makes sure that the child has a mother and father. Now, there are single parents who do excellent jobs of raising their children. It's possible, for sure. But I think even they would recognize that it's not ideal. And so God places the act of sex within marriage so that it can have those two purposes, and those two purposes can be supported by the lifelong covenant and the husband, the mother and father to take care of the child. This would be a reason why the church generally does not approve of couples living together outside of marriage. Either they're having sex outside of marriage, or they're not, but they're creating scandal because people are assuming that they're living together and therefore doing that. So the church would say, we should not live together until we are married. This is not to oppress women, but rather to liberate them from becoming objectified. And even Gandhi said, if artificial birth control methods become the order of the day, nothing but moral degradation can be the result. He wasn't Christian, he wasn't Catholic, but he could see that. Now, the church doesn't say, okay, well then you got to figure this out. She uses the mind of science and has offered natural family planning, and recognize that God has built into the female body natural times of fertility. This is because he did not intend for everyone to have a gazillion children. So we can use our intellect if there are grave reasons to avoid having another child at some point. But it doesn't handcuff God like artificial birth control does. It also leads to better communication of couples. It's essentially as effective as artificial birth control when used correctly. And versus a divorce rate of 50%, those who use it have a divorce rate of less than 5%. And so the church, in her wisdom, not only shows us the true purpose of sex, but then she also follows that up by understanding what was built into the human body. And when we understand that and live by that, we actually are happier and healthier and have more effective marriages and lives. Okay, topic number one. Topic number two, maybe a little bit harder, a little more controversial, but it's still important, and that would be same-sex marriage. Again, here's another book for you if you want to go deeper into this. It's probably the hardest for some people, especially if they have loved ones who have same-sex attraction. But let's remember that the definition of marriage is not lifelong union of two adults that love each other. That might be what society says it is, but that's not what it is. We are not just spirits, we are the unity of soul and body, and our bodies were given a sex for a reason. We were made male and female so that in our bodies and through their union we would image the Trinity. So again, we put it within marriage because the unitive is to make sure that the act matches the covenantal reality, and the procreative is to make sure that they have a mother and a father who are different. So Scripture always presents marriage as between a man and a woman. And at the time of Jesus, there were people who had same-sex attraction. But Jesus and his apostles did not change the definition of marriage. And the church, in her 2,000 years, has not changed its understanding of marriage. Society, for the most part, up until the last 30 years, marriage has been defined as a male and a female together for life. And societies have regulated marriage because they have all found that binding two parents together in a stable, lifelong union is what is best for the sake of the children that that union produces. All cultures have held that it's for the good of the couple and the procreation of humanity that marriage is instituted as between a husband and a wife. It's not a matter of demeaning anyone or trying to be unfair. The church doesn't have the authority to redefine marriage. It was given to us by God. And the church recognizes the cross of having same-sex attraction. And people with same-sex attraction are not sinful in that. Again, we judge the actions, not the person. Like all of us, the question is what we do with our desires and with our attractions. Are we living within the will of God for our life, even if that will might be difficult? Now, if we think that the church is just telling certain persons, hey, you need to deal with this, good luck, let's not forget that the church asks her priests, her monks, her sisters to refrain from sexual union. So I understand, as a person asked not to marry, not to have sexual union with a woman, I understand the sacrifice. And so I'm not speaking of like, this person needs to do that, I'm not willing to do that sacrifice. I do it every day. And I know that it's possible and that God can actually be life-giving from that. It's hard, and it's maybe it's more difficult in certain circumstances than others, but it is possible, and God can still do amazing things to bring us fulfillment, joy, and peace. Okay, the church also helps people through groups like Courage, which is for people who struggle with same-sex attraction, Encourage for families who have someone who has same-sex attraction, and Living Waters for people who want to seek some healing in their spiritual and physical healing due to any sort of struggles that they might have sexually. Okay, we're almost done. Gender identity, which has become, each year I teach this class, it becomes more and more of a topic in the world. There is a relationship between sex and gender. And biologically, that's true. Women have two X chromosomes, men have an X and a Y chromosome. And so it's biologically given to us. Gender tends to more refer to words, like pronouns, until the 1960s. It's a heavy cross to carry, to not be sure of, to feel like you are in the wrong body. That's a huge cross. But it is it's a cross that the Lord can help someone to carry. And so again, the church offers Courage and Encourage and Living Waters to help people who might be struggling with that. Society has kind of taken off in another direction, and it's on a trajectory that's I think very, very dangerous for a lot of people. And the church is trying to continue to be a beacon of truth, even though she gets criticized for doing that. Okay. I think that's probably enough for this evening. So maybe we could have a break, and then if people had questions, we could do that afterward. Is that
Yep.
okay?
Yep. Perfect.